Flag.
Our colors being in place, please remove your hats and cover your hearts. Recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance.
And salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Face center. Forward, march.
Please be seated. I'll have William Beckman come forward for duty, honor, and country.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I would like to recommend one thing when you get home. Sometime in the future, take a look at this final address by General of the Armies Douglas MacArthur. These are just a few of the words that he spoke in his farewell to the troops. One of the first things that happened in a paragraph, the beginning paragraph of his speech, as he was leaving the hotel to go to give his speech, the doorman said, "Where are you bound for, sir?" And he said, "West Point." He said, "Well, have you ever been there?" It's a beautiful place. Of course, he didn't realize that Douglas MacArthur had been a plebe there, and later became the superintendent. So with due respect and great passion, I bring to you what is referred to as duty, honor, country. Duty, honor, country. A code of conduct and chivalry of those who guard their beloved land. An ideal so noble that it arouses a sense of pride and yet humility. An expression of the ethics of the American man-at-arms. Duty, honor, country. Those three words build courage when courage seems to fail. Regain faith where there seems to be little cause for faith. Create hope when hope seems forlorn. The American man-at-arms shows all other people praise for peace, for he must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. Duty, honor, country. The unbelievers will say they are but words, a slogan, or a flamboyant phrase. Every demagogue, every cynic, every hypocrite will try to denigrate them for the extent of mockery and ridicule. The code which those words perpetuate embraces the highest moral law and will stand the test of any ethics or philosophies ever published for the uplift of mankind. Around 1,000 campfires, on 100 battlefields, listening for the witching melody of 8 bugles blowing reveille, drums beating the long roll. This is the story of the American man-at-arms. His name and fame are the birthright of every American citizen. In his youth and strength, his love and loyalty, he gave all that mortality can give. He has never failed us. Were he to do so, a million ghosts in olive drab, in brown khaki, in blue and gray, would rise from their white crosses, thundering those magic words: duty, honor, country.
That was excellent. Before I introduce the chaplain, I guess you call for today, I'd like to have the veterans that are seated please stand in place for just a moment to see we can see who you are. We got a bunch of them out there, women and men. Thank you very much for your service. Appreciate that. Great. Now this morning we have a new pastor in the area. His name is Aaron, and I'd like to have him come forward for our opening prayer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pastor Aaron Burst of Christ Lutheran Church here in Lake Mills, only Missouri Synod Church here in Lake Mills. It's actually about 2 blocks right down that way over at Mulberry Street. It is my privilege and honor to begin these 2016 Memorial Day services in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much. It's now opening remarks, which seems a little late in the program, but I'd love to extend my gratitude for all that have come out today. There's really quite an impressive crowd here today, and I'd like to thank the Boy Scouts for helping out. They have some Girl Scouts that are in the band. I saw some Cub Scouts running around. That's really great. And I want really thankful that you are here today. We have a gorgeous day. We can't say the same thing for the East Coast or Texas right now. However, I'm with another group you probably heard of the 40 and 8, and we do flags for first graders, and we went to the schools around and to hand out the flags to first graders. And I was impressed. There is a first grader, his name is Kolten, and he wrote a poem, and they're really short, but I thought it was really special. And I'd like to read this for just a moment. American Flag by Kolten. O flag, you help us to do the pledge of the flag. O flag, you help us do the Star-Spangled Banner. But, yeah, it's a first grader, it's pretty good. But he also had a tribute to the USS Midway, and it was USS Midway by Kolten. Oh, USS Midway, oh, USS Midway, you fought for our country, you were saving our country. Oh, USS Midway, we love you, thank you. That's pretty great. So if you see Kolten around town, he did a good job. I forgot where it was. Oh, the Gettysburg Address is next.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Good morning. For most of you that, or some of you that may not have a program, my name is Jack Gillihan, and I am the chaplain for the American Legion, and I have the privilege of reading you names of people who have served in the service and have died since. And I'll begin with the name and then the war that they served in. We have Gordon Christensen. Now, he was missed back in 2013, and we apologize to his family for that. Roger Allen also, he died in 2014, and somehow we missed him. Both these gentlemen served in World War II. Now we have Frederick Albrecht, Korea. William Avery, peacetime. Jack Crosby, Vietnam. Russell Bergholz, Korea. Michael Elliott, Vietnam. Irvin Renz, World War II. Gordon Noshel, Korea. Leslie Michael, World War II. Robert Stark, Vietnam. Gene Suko, Vietnam. Donald Zimmerman, Berlin Crisis. Roy Blassing, Korea. William Dirksmeyer, World War II. Edward Robsky, World War II. Roy Metzger, World War II. John Schufs, World War II. Richard Smith, Korea. Lawrence Weidenfeld, Korea. May they rest in peace.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky the lark still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunsets glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields, in Flanders fields, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw
America's answer, R.W. Lillard. Rest ye in peace, ye Flanders dead, the fight that you so bravely led. We've taken up and we will keep true faith with you who lie asleep, with each a cross to mark his bed and poppies blowing overhead. When once his own lifeblood ran red, so let your rest be sweet and deep in Flanders fields. Fear not that ye have died for naught, the torch ye threw to us we caught. 10 million hands will hold it high, and freedom's light shall never die. We've learned the lesson that ye taught in Flanders fields.
The placing of the wreath, please. Well, that was great. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, which is probably no stranger to some of you, but certainly was to me, but I'm pleased to announce he's a veteran of the Air Force of 23 years. He's a graduate of Stanford University engineering degree. He actually is a full bird colonel after 17 years of service, which is pretty great. He had assignments on 5 different continents. I don't want to run through all the areas, but he was all over the place. He currently is the VP of Renew Air LLC in Madison, and is the founder, owner, chief pilot of Remote Pilot Solutions. It's a drone operation over in Madison. So this is Scott Forrest. I'd love to present it here today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, yes. Thank you to everybody for being here this morning. Whether you're here to honor the fallen on Memorial Day, whether you're here to support your loved ones in this beautiful band over here, or this beautiful band behind me back here, or these wonderful singers behind me Thank you for participating in this day and this morning, and don't we have a beautiful day to do that with. Awesome out here. Also want to thank my wife, beautiful wife down there, who's taking a picture of me, and my daughter for supporting me, and my mom and dad for being here. Thank you. Hi, guys. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for that kind introduction. Appreciate that. I have a question for you all, and it is why. Why is the question? 3 pieces to that. Why do we do this today? Why do we have Memorial Day? And why are you here? Why are you celebrating? Why are you participating in this Memorial Day? And my third question for you is, why is that important to consider? And I hope today, during our talk, that we can come up with answers for those. I have my own answers, but I'd hope that you'd come up with your own answers. And maybe some of the things I say today will help you develop answers to those questions. First one, why? Why do we have Memorial Day? Well, I think to answer that question, we kind of need to know the what first. What is Memorial Day? What's it about? Right? Well, the tradition started at the end of the Civil War in 1868, when the first Memorial Day, the predecessor to Memorial Day, occurred. After that war was over, one of the generals wanted to have a day, and they called it back then. It started out as Decoration Day in 1868, where they put flowers and memorialized all of those who had passed and died in the Civil War. And through the years, our country recognized Decoration Day in several ways and several means, and eventually it became known as Memorial Day, mostly after the 2 world wars. And then in another act of Congress later on, they eventually started to call it officially Memorial Day, and we would always have it on first or the last Monday in May. For the first amount of time, though, when it was going on, it was always May 30th. Today's May 30th, so that's a coincidence. And on the first Decoration Day, it was a May 30th back then, as they laid 20,000 flowers down in front of everybody. But that's kind of how it got started and how it's officially a part of our calendar and our federal government, and our Congress has passed laws to recognize it. But what does it do? What is it for? Well, it's for those who have paid the ultimate price, those who gave their last full measure of sacrifice for our country, those who have died in our defense. That's what it's for. It's not for somebody like me, who's a retired veteran, right? I'm still living. Maybe some of you don't think so quite yet, but yes, it's not for living veterans. Memorial Day is to honor those who have died. Okay? There's another day for veterans. That's Veterans Day. Okay? That's another day we celebrate on the calendar. And then, even then, that's a little bit different. It's for veterans who have served, who are done serving. That's one of the 3 days that we have on our calendar by federal decree that we would recognize the service in defense of our country. So today we honor those who have died. On Veterans Day, we honor those who have served and are still living. And on Armed Forces Day, we honor those who are currently serving. Okay? That's the 3 days that we have in our country to just take a minute, take a pause, and reflect on those that defend us, keep our freedoms, and hold all that we hold dear in the defense of all the rest of us. So today, what's the answer to the what is, we're here to, why do we have it? Well, we're honoring those who died for our defense of our country today. That's what we're doing. So why are we doing that? It's important. It's important we do that. My own answer to that question of why that's important is that I do believe, as my favorite speaker in my favorite book is quoted as having said, that there's no greater love that a man has than this, that he would lay down his life for another. I believe that. And so we honor those who did that for us by recognizing Memorial Day today and recognizing the sacrifices that they made by giving that last full measure of devotion to their country and dying in battle in defense of our nation. It started, if you look at the rolls, on April 19th in 1775. Anybody know what that was that day? That was the Battle of Lexington and Concord. It was the night after, the morning after, the day after, Paul Revere did his famous ride. We know about that. And after his ride, that next morning, a group of militiamen, about 70, under Captain John Parker, gathered in the town square, much like this would have been. Just like us, kind of same type of people, gathered in defense of what they were collectively concerned about. And on that day, in that park in the middle of the town in Lexington, 7 of them were killed by the British. And those were our first casualties in America, first recorded ones, and they died for freedom. They died for what the founders, or the Declaration of Independence, tells us about, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why they fought. They wanted to have the ability to have those 3 things, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's what I served for 24 years, and many of my countrymen and my servicemen and women, brothers and sisters, served for, to serve something greater than ourselves, for us to have a place where we could pursue happiness and live life to its fullest and have liberty. So that kind of helps us talk a little bit about the question of why we have this today. It ended, or it hasn't ended yet. That story hasn't ended yet, because those were the first American casualties. The most recent American casualty in war was on May 3rd of this month, 27 days ago, in Iraq. Somebody fighting against ISIS, a Navy SEAL, Special Warfare Officer First Class, Charles H. Keating IV, grandson of Charles Keating, became a Navy SEAL. And he gave his life in defense of the values that we hold dear, as we have been combating those who would bring terror into the world in a difficult and very brutal way in those lands in Syria and Iraq right now. And in between those 2 bookends, if you will, of the story of those who have died in protecting our freedom, are many of us who have been touched by death. Thank you for reading the list earlier of those who have died in combat from Lake Mills right here and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Is there anybody in the audience today related to the list of names that was read? If you are, please stand up. Or if there is anybody here not on those whose parents or grandparents, cousins, or loved one has paid the ultimate price in combat and in service of their country, please stand up or raise your hand if you're not able to stand. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sacrifices that you have made. Thank you for the tough road that it is to lose a loved one like that. Thank you for what you have gone through in the passing since that time. In honor of their memory, we honor you today, we honor them today for the sacrifices they made for all the rest of us. Thank you for that. Further on, excuse me. A little further on in the Declaration of Independence, we listed all the grievances for the British, but at the end of it, it came to a summary statement, said, "We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America," you know those 56 signatures that went right there with John Hancock, all these people said this, "We solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." Okay, those 56 men signed their fortunes, their lives, and their sacred honor so that we could birth a nation, so that we could, some 200 plus years hence, live in the conditions that we do. And without pledging their lives, they were either, if you take a look at what they did, you know two things were going to happen, right? They were either going to become independent, or they were going to have some hard time with the British if we didn't become independent. And we weren't going to become independent without sacrifice. And that is the type of sacrifice that we are here to honor today. So it pauses us, it makes us think about what we have to do in response to this. It's kind of the third question. And we answered the question a little bit about why does our country do this? It's one of our 3 days. Why are we here today? Why am I standing up here in a suit talking to everybody in shorts? Right? Why are we honoring this day? Why do you in particular, why have you come out today? And then the last question is, why is it important to think about these things? And it's because it demands a response from us. Right? Well, what should we do to honor the memories of the people in our community who have sacrificed, and the people throughout our country who have sacrificed? How should we behave? What should we think? What should we do? It's a big question. How do we honor those who have gone before us and paid the ultimate price? Well, I don't know. It's my first answer. I know what the answer is for me, and I think it's living well. I think part of it is that answer. I've been blessed to come back into my own home community here where I grew up, and my hometown has received me back into its bosom after I wore the cloth of our nation for 23 years. And I know that I got up every day willing to give my life, and I served with those who were willing to give their life on every day they got up their mornings. And from having served with those people, again, today is not about us, but I know from amongst the ones who still live what they would ask that we would do, and that would be to live well in our communities, to remember and be thankful for the sacrifices that they are making, which we're doing today. That's extremely important. Living well, it's having a great community like ours. It's doing great at schoolwork. It's supporting your children to learn. It's being a part of the fabric of the society we have here that's wonderful. Wednesday evenings, when the park is all filled up. I'm so glad to come home and live in that type of environment here. It's doing well at our jobs. It's treating each other kind and humbly. right? Be humble and kind. There's a Tim McGraw song out right now. It's great. Cinderella, the movie, right? Be kind and have courage. That's how we can live well. Love one another. Forgive one another. Make the most. You know, the thing about somebody that's willing to give up their life and sacrifice for us is it kind of makes us realize that the little things don't matter that much, right? So in response to feeling like that, what should we do? What should be our call? What should be our response? What's yours? Asking you to fill in the blank in your own mind right now as you're thinking of that answer. Should you be like maybe the Chewbacca lady who's gone viral on social media? Have you seen that? It's hilarious. Yeah, we love us some Star Wars in the Forrest family. If you haven't seen that Chewbacca lady video, go when you're having your Memorial Day party today, show it to everybody else. It'll be a belly laugher that the rest of you can have fun around. But when you are, and this is my comments to kind of wrap up, my challenge to you, my offering to you, my ask of you in celebration, when you're celebrating today, you know, because Memorial Day does kind of remind us we're kicking into summer, right? That's not the purpose of it, but it's a reminder that summer's coming and school's ended and it's going to be great. We're going to have an awesome summer. But when you're having that picnic, when you are at home or whatever you're doing this afternoon, I do want to share with you another thing that's in our laws and in the codes of our nation that our Congress has enacted, and that is the National Moment of Remembrance. And the National Moment of Remembrance has been in our law since 1950. I'll read to you a little bit about it right here. In honor of all of our fallen service members, the Congress, by a joint resolution approved May 11, 1950, as amended by U.S. Code, has requested the President issue a proclamation calling on the people of the United States to observe each Memorial Day as a day of prayer for permanent peace and designating a period on that day when the people of the United States might unite in prayer. The Congress, by Public Law 106-579, has also designated 3 p.m. local time on that day as a time for all Americans to observe, in their own way, the National Moment of Remembrance. 3 o'clock today. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, before you watch that Lady Chewbacca video, have a moment of remembrance at 3 o'clock. Just gather together, sit in your house alone, whatever you're going to do at 3 o'clock, have that moment, and you'll be doing it with everybody else in the country that does that. And by doing so, we can think about why. Maybe in that moment, you'll think about why it's important to you that we celebrate today the way we do. But I encourage you to do that. Have fun with it. Enjoy each other. Live well. And treasure each of the relationships that you have in honor of our fallen comrades. And I want to thank you, every one of you, for being out here today. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you to the Legion Post for allowing me to speak. And I wish you a very, very excellent Memorial Day. Godspeed, and thank you.
I want to thank him so much for doing that. That was really great. But now we were going to move on to the Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem. Please rise. move on to the benediction.
Receive the blessing of our Lord. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you his peace. Amen.
And Tyler, the colors. This concludes our program for this morning. Thank you all very much for sharing your morning with us and remembrance of those that have gone before. And thank you again. I really appreciate it.